They're all in this tavern and in this neighborhood of this young woman, and they notice that gender-based violence is basically unfolding before them. There is a guy that's beating a woman up, and again, I keep on moving to stories and stories, so let me enter into another one for a brief 5 seconds. When I was about 23, 24, I went to a party at Power Park in Soweto, and boom, boom, whatever, go home. Next morning, we learned at the very party that I was with my girls that there was a murder of a young woman that was dumped in a trash can, and her body was found by cleaners the next morning. She was shot. My question was, why didn't anybody hear a shot? We understand it was a boom boom, but no one saw or even heard this, and she was only found the next day. And I said after sharing that story some time ago, that it matters where you at. It matters where you are, where people are going to ignore GBV. Chances are this chick was killed. Those dustbins where people threw their Amstel bottles, their Heineken Savannah bottles. It was close enough to the bustling environment. It was likely even in the atmosphere or in the environment of the of bustling people out here chatting and dancing. Yet this guy managed to shoot a woman and throw her in that bin. That it was so close to it was pretty much in the center of where all the heat and the energy of partying was at. And yet her body was not found until the next morning by cleaning staff. Long story short, in black culture, and I can vouch for this, you go to a bash, you go to a pub, you go to a bar, you go to a party in the street, and then you hear screams. Ow, ow, ow. Some girl is getting beaten up by her boyfriend. And listen, people will just be like, just like my uncle said that of my cousin, after her boyfriend put a blue eye on her face. You're her dad. In black culture, women and men go to parties, and at these parties, when a woman is getting beaten up in front of everybody, screaming, with her hair being pulled out in front of everybody, people just stand back and watch this as a spectacle. Barely anybody intervenes. I don't think this would ever happen at a white club, an Indian club, where a white or an Indian girl or even a colored girl was getting beaten up in front of everybody. There would be intervention. But in black culture, people stand back and they watch a woman getting beaten up. In some instances, the abuse is so extreme that the girl will literally get tied by her hair to a tow bar and dragged through the street, as an example, scraping her skin. People are left to ultimately finish off their dying. Do you understand what I'm saying? In front of people who, when I was on the come up, there weren't all that many cell phones. There were barely any recording phones. Largely, you couldn't even take a photo with a phone. I mean, I remember owning a digital camera. That was how I took all those fabulous photos that I took on Facebook. I had a digital cam. But now you've got cell phones that have got strong enough quality, good enough quality to qualify, to have the same kind of quality as a digital camera. So bye-bye digital camera, hello Android or Apple device. Back then, we didn't have the kinds of phones. I mean, we're still dealing with MMS, color picture, or whatever. So barely anybody out here be recording an event happening in broad daylight, because nobody's phone is like that, and barely anybody carried a digital camera to a party. Only when you felt like being the photographer would you carry one there. And even if you did have a digital camera, nobody's out trying to take photographs of a dying girl in front of everybody. But I have heard of a body dump at a party that I was at that I was shocked that a woman was killed there. I have heard that. Okay, I personally have heard that. And I was shocked, I was scared. I was like, goodness, but we were there just last night. How did we not hear the gunshot wound? Wada wada. Wushem, the poor parents. That's all we could say. Cousin and I, everybody. All we could say was Wushem, the poor parents. Alright? That chick was likely more or less our age type establishment thing. And she would not be the only victim that I overheard being hurt. I had a cousin who, my cousins and I, my female cousins and I, pretty much the fam. He was my best friend on the come up. Beat up his girlfriend in front of us at Power Park, not Power Park, but Togoza Park in Rockville. Ever since that day, when my cousin Ajay be slapping his girlfriend in front of us, my cousins and I disowned him. My cousins and I disowned him because we were like, he's one of those. Ew, he's one of those. But did we intervene? Did we stop him from beating his girlfriend? No, we just said, Lenjalena beats his girlfriend up and he does it Kodi party. And the girlfriend kept on getting back together with him. We don't know what in the world was going on over there. But like my cousin and I made a decision only after the act that I'm sorry, I can't be hanging out with this animal. He might have been my best friend at some point, but I can't believe our family manufactured this nonsense. I can't believe he's one of us. I can't believe our genes run in his bones. Like, what is he? A foreign substance. He's an anomaly. He's like an organ that gets rejected after like a heart transplant. It's just vomited, and so the person has to get another heart. That's what this guy is. He's a failed liver transplant or a failed heart transplant. We dished him. But these are the kinds of things that happen in the black community. You be thinking you are cut above the rest, you're different. You were raised different. My cousin, that boy, was raised in my family, under my grandmother, under my aunt, under everybody, with the same values, the same virtues, the same whatever, and yet he was able to out his girlfriend. So it turns out that these men get trained in some funny little caucus, some funny little hole, a dungeon, a ditch, like it's a mosh pit, like quicksand. They get trained in quicksand, far away from their home camp, far away from their base camp. And now if you're busy getting trained in quicksand, far away from where your mama raised you, and from where your grandmama, your granddaddy, and your daddy raised you, what the heck? How do you control the classes being taken in quicksand? Where do they get this thing? Who raised them? Who taught them to be this violent? My point exactly. Each other. Like, they develop a hostility. They hate women so much that they be out there in their caucuses disregarding what their grandfather said, disregarding what their grandmothers said, to a point where we in a family will be shocked at the GBV anomaly dwelling in our midst, with our genetics in him, with our same instructional inheritance. And yet, this person has tarried. It's a black disease, and it is full of hatred for women. And I am like, Yasin, while I did not choose me in and of myself to opt out of the black community, God opted me out, not community, but just a black husband. Because I can still hang with black people, and when they do a strange thing, I'm out here writing them off, disowning them like I did with my cousin, like we did with our cousin. But I'm not going to hang with a man in a marriage and lay in the same bed with him that got trained in a mosh pit, a cesspool, what is that thing that I called it? Like quicksand. That got trained instructions, even though he was given a different upbringing by someone else, by a cockpit of men, in the incendiary hatred of women, then making a decision to disregard all that which makes for wholesome family in the black community. I'm not going to wait for a guy to realize that my grandmother was right, my mother was right, my grandfather was right, my dad was right, my uncle and how he raised me, that was better. But I chose to hang out with a bunch of crazy barbarians that changed my mind. It happened with my ex-boyfriend. Started out alright, and then got changed his mind somewhere along the way. I'm like, no, rather go where it is that culture is entrenched in young men, and these young men tend to agree that that's how it ought to be. And so with each other, they don't influence one another away from what makes sense, because there is a danger in little gangs of young men growing up together that don't think they're gangs, but it becomes clear later on that they're the boys in the hood because of how much they hate women, until one of them kills a woman, and then they act all shocked and surprised, puzzled. When one of their boys ends up killing a woman, why wouldn't your boy kill a woman? Tell me, Why wouldn't he kill a woman when all you can do is speak about women being these crazy things? When you have no love for women, you're that misogynistic, you can't stand their success, you are in fever and competition, you're wearing panties and not the tranga, you can't stand women, you speak so badly about them, why would not one of you take it to the extreme of killing his girlfriend? Some of these black men are to be shocked that their boy killed their girlfriend. Dude, you speak smack about women all the day long when you hang out with each other. When you're playing video games, you speak smack about women. You have nothing good to say about women. And so because of that, do not be surprised when one of your unhinged psychopaths unleashes a live round, or 3 of them, into the skull of a girlfriend, fetches her at university in her dormitory where she is studying, and kills her there because he dumped her. So then, in going back to story sa Hlongwane, I fantasized. After all, me, I'm not scared of death. Hlongwane was murdered in front of everybody, and since it's 2025, and like when I was on the come up at Park, it was recorded. People were carrying their iPhones, their Android devices, their Samsungs, and they recorded the whole thing, and they stood back, and they intervened not. But I recognized the lack of intervention from back in the day, because I've seen women getting slept all up in my grill, and I've only ever intervened once because I don't want to be an orphan. My mom, when she was getting beaten up, I became brave, I became a human shield. But when it came to the girlfriend of my cousin, the only act was after the math. It was aftermath. The only act of activism on the part of me and my cousins was to basically write off this dastardly, beastly, gender-based violence monster that is anomalous in the family. But we watched him beat his girlfriend to a fine powder and did nothing. Yeah. So I saw it. It's been happening since, when I was on the come up, newly squirted out of my teens, and I was a 20-year-old, 21-year-old. I heard of a young woman that got murdered where I was partying, and then there are others that I saw just getting, handled skadiwashi in front of me, and all we could do is frown upon these deadbeat randos. As women, it's really rough to try and intervene to stop a guy from beating a woman, but who ought to intervene? Other men, right? But I mean, aren't they sitting in a caucus together, out here speaking smack about women? Aren't they out here of the imagination that a woman has a slap coming? Aren't they out here sympathizing and empathizing with men who beat women? Because when a woman gets out here cracked in the face like she's an egg, there are men who will literally sit there and say, but what does she do? Like, why are you even asking that? Why are you even asking that? What does she do? There must be something. Why? Because already there is a rhetoric dwelling in their bones that is saying, these women bayatelela, and some guys just can't help but beat them up. There was a guy from Nigeria that was actually hollering at me, that kept on lambasting and scratching his baby mama, and then spoke to me, telling me that he sometimes hits her because she has it coming, she's violent, and then showed me the scars on his body of retaliation. His baby mama scooped him like he was ice cream with a spoon. Because when you're a woman, you lack all that brawn, right? When you're a woman, you lack all that brawn. You don't have muscular strength. You don't have upper body strength. You can't really tackle a guy unless you're given adrenaline, because you know how a mother in an accident can lift an entire car off a baby. So unless you're given some kind of adrenaline, you're not going to win a fight against the guy. That's why all these trans athletes are to be taking over women's sports. I don't know what's going on over there. You're not going to win. That's why they keep on punching in women. That's why in volleyball, they keep on putting, using such gumption to push to pass the ball to the other side until a woman literally is stone cold on the floor out here, concussed. Men are too strong, and it is not all day, every day that you are awarded with the handsome enablement of adrenaline. So since we don't know whether our fight or flight response is going to give us Herculean strength, for the larger majority, a woman cannot do anything. So if a woman is out just scuffling and fighting with a man, if she is in a skirmish with a guy, chances are she's going to grab anything in the periphery. Because we need enablement, we need tools to basically eliminate men. We cannot eliminate them with our sheer brawn. Unless they're baby boys. Otherwise, if they're teenagers, if they're all grown up, if they are out of their baby skin and are in their muscular thighs, we don't stand a chance. So this dude had spoon wounds. He had spoon scoops like he was some ice cream. He had a 5 rand sized scar on his shoulder from his woman scooping him like he's some ice cream with a spoon. Because while he was busy slapping her across the kitchen, handling her like a rag doll like she ain't got no bones, she grabbed the nearest thing that was around, and it just so happened to be a spoon, and she scooped him multiple times. And not only did this woman scoop him multiple times, but her sister jumped on there like an orangutan. And so he was attacked by 2 women, and ultimately he just stopped. He was able to gesture and move around and dust them off like they're lint on a coat, and then walk out of there after hurling 2 women against the wall because her sister intervened while she was scooping him like ice cream. And he prospered to essentially ward all of them off like he's Neo in Matrix Revolutions when he stands up and all those agents on his body are scooped on him, piled on him like an anthill. And because Neo was so strong, he was like, "Wah," and all the agents just like fell off. Yeah, these women fell off like the agents in the Matrix Revolutions. And that's when he stopped beating her up. Her older sister, if she was not there, don't nobody know what this man could have done to his baby mama, okay? And his girlfriend at the time, this guy was like 35, I was 32 at the time. His baby mama was 23 or something, and his baby mama's sister was 27. Older. His baby mama's older sister, was 27 years old. She was younger than me, and by all intents and purposes, just young and tall, okay? But this guy, because he was yet to learn my age, because I look young, right? I'm 41, bet you can't tell. So how much younger then did I look when I was just 32? So this guy doesn't know that I'm not 23 like his girlfriend. And then he starts entering into this ageistic conversation speaking about how his baby mama's sister is jealous of her because she is still young and viable. She's getting old and tired like a geezer. Because I think she's turning 28 or whatever. I'm standing there listening to him speak this to a 32-year-old woman that he doesn't know is 32. And he's speaking about a 27-year-old like her ship has sailed. They're ageistic. And when you turn a certain age, that's why I said when you're in a 2-year relationship with a dude that you've been with from high school, his show of character is him walking in Christian Judeo virtues, as opposed to him just staying in a relationship with you, because while you're still young, they'll treat you well. But according to some men, you're literally a worn out garment from as early as 27. And this woman's older sister was only 27, and the way that he came up against her was basically by highlighting that she is a tired old geezer that is jealous of his relationship with that woman, and that's why she keeps on intervening while the sister is intervening, because I mean, after all, you have made my baby sister a punching bag. Yeah, this guy spoke with boldness. He was braggadocious. I love that word. He was braggadocious about how it is that he kept on beating his baby mama because he thought I would understand for some strange reason. Like, when you're that much of a gender-based nasty, you will think that the next woman that you're chatting with, that you're trying to holler at, will understand why the other woman had a beating coming. But you see, the only reason why that Nigerian guy could somehow strangely speak to me, how it is that I even met him, is a long story, please. Like, I've explained these stories before. I don't want to have to keep on jumping from story to story. But I was made to live with my dad at Cosmo City. This guy fixed our TV, or enabled us our TV agenda, and he then liked me. He was my peer, so he kept on hanging out around me a lot. That's a very short story. Long story, very cut short. You get my point? Like, listen, forget the grammar, okay? Yeah, this guy was out here of the imagination that I'm gonna get it, because I get it, he spoke to me sweetly and kindly. So he figured that I'm going to do that which black women typically do. What do black women typically do? Ignore the plight and the cause of other black women when they're standing in front of men that they're out here fraternizing with. I wasn't even fraternizing with this guy. He was fraternizing with me. It was very, very one-sided. I didn't like him, but he liked me. And this little monster that liked me thoroughly spoke to me, told me that look at what this woman did as he's explaining to me that his baby mama is a nonsense. He's like, look at what she's done to me. She went and scooped my body all with a spoon. Yeah, Nigerian accent and everything. Went on to describe that her old sister that has not even cracked past the age of 30, but she's old. Sister pounced on me like an orangutan, and I got rid of both of them. And now I'm living with my friend seasonally because I had to move out of the house. He was living with his baby mama. Yet again, there is cohabitation without marriage. Okay, the baby mama was South African. Well, they were South African. But it appears like it doesn't matter what race you are. Like, just there's an issue of cancer metastasizing in the black community. Candace Owens is American. I've dealt with black people, it appears, from across borders. The worthless psychopath that has wreaked havoc all these years in my life is from the US, from California. So no, it don't matter if you're in Ghana, Zimbabwe, it don't matter if you're in Australia. This thing is following you around like a tail. It's following you around like a tail. If you're a black person, if you don't intentionally go to war with it, it'll follow you like a generational curse, and you will forget about the instructions of your father, your grandfather, your mama, your grandmama. You will forget where you come from until you struck your cousins and beat up a girlfriend at Thokoza Park. Monster that no one understands who taught you to be this way. That's the hatred of women and being proliferated, coursing through the veins like some hemoglobin. Yeah. This guy speaks like this about this woman, and likely the reason why he was speaking this way about her was because he was so used to, in his pursuit of other women, in his exploits as an infidel, because he was of course unfaithful to that lady, in his exploits as an unfaithful boyfriend, spoke to his pursuits about his girlfriend in a most deriding fashion, a most reputationally damaging fashion. My baby mama, my girlfriend, my wife, yes, like it, she sucks. You don't understand. She doesn't understand. She's full of violence. She's always scratching me with her nails. She's always swearing at me. She's always slapping me. Top of that, she doesn't respect me. She's this and the other. And now in the black community, when a man is out just speaking like that to you about another woman, you have an inclination, if you don't, renew your mind. The Bible says, do not be conformed to the image of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If you don't renew your mind and you have a crush on this person that's speaking like this about his baby mama, his girlfriend, his wife, you like him and you think, oh, divorce is en route. Those of you who believe that marriage and remarriage is not a sin, you think that you're en route being being wife number 2. You like a man, you love him so much that when he's speaking smack about his wife, this guy was so used to women like those. I personally have sat in front of a dude out there deriding the name of his baby mama, saying that she trapped me when it takes 2 to tango with a pregnancy because I liked him so much. That is the curse of Eve. I liked him so much that, of course, the woman with whom he has a child that he is not married to, that he's presently not with, of course she trapped him because this awesome man, this Adonis statue with all of its picturesque gorgeosity and all the glory emanating from it can't possibly do anything wrong. That is the curse of Eve. That is the curse of Eve. From now on, your desire will be for your husband to a point where when he reviles the names of women in your face, you will see no flaws in him. You will see not the side of the story that comes from other places. You will not know that his cousins have written him off for being a GBV monster, like my cousins and I wrote off our cousin for being a BV monster. But later on, he would go on to make babies with, and I believe even ultimately marry, because there's all that order issue. Some other really gorgeous woman, and all my cousin and I could think when we met this baby mama of his one time at a family wedding was, do you know that this guy beats up his girlfriends? Are you safe? We didn't say it to her. We didn't tell her. We don't want to break up a relationship. We don't want to scare a lady. But my cousin and I were like, yo, because he is into GBV. But that woman that ended up giving my cousin babies, yeah, she was probably told stories about how this girlfriend of mine, she didn't make no sense. And now in some extreme case scenarios, there are women who will literally see where a man's abuse of a woman is coming from. They will literally understand why a man had to slap a woman, why he had to beat her up. Because she did ABC. When you love a man, your senses are corrupted, your instruments are confused. And if you don't employ biblical principles and seek the Holy Spirit to essentially make out of you a cut above the rest, to think differently and to resist the devil that he might flee from you, you will run with a tidal wave of some pampoon idiota out here in these uneasy pampoon idiota streets, thoroughly speaking smack about beating a woman, and you think that it makes any kind of sense. And there was a guy from Nigeria once upon a time that out here told me, as Karabo says, Hlongwane, at this point I'm already born again, I'm in a persecuted life. And this man stood there in front of me in the kitchen where I used to stay, out here talking, you know how in the Gasi, when you can have visitors, guests just coming into your house, your door yawning, and people walking up and down being able to look into your house type setup thing. It was a setup of that nature. and he was chilling in the kitchen, seeing as he was my dad's friend as well. And he was speaking about how this girl, look at it, my baby mama put it on my body, yo. Yeah. I was also therefore retaliating, and he was speaking about how what kind of a woman slaps a man. He was talking about what kind of a woman hits a man and expects a man not to hit him back. He said that this woman slapped him and she hit him back, and also she spoke smack to him, provoked him, and so he hit him back and got pounced on like an orangutan by the sister, and he beat them back, and this woman went and grabbed a spoon and scooped him with it. He had scars that were fresh on his body from this woman retaliating. Yeah, well, I told you even that story to help you understand that as a woman, when you're dealing with a man that is just too strong for you, you're too short, or even if you might be Amazonian tall, like Karabo, you still ain't got jack on men's muscles. You still ain't got jack on men's muscles. So you will grab whatever is just around. You'll grab whatever is just around. And when I heard about the murder of Hlongwane, I was so mad. I was so mad. This woman got killed at a bar. Not a bar, like some tavern outside with men and women, young ones that are also kind of Amazonian. So very muscular, very athletic. I mean, y'all know that young men are... There was a story that did its rounds in the media in this country where our Minister of Police at the time, I think it was Bheki Cele, was out here rebuking his police officers from running away again in Thokoza, running away from a 23-year-old young man that beat up the police who were apprehending him because he was public drinking. The police he beat up 2 police officers, and these police officers ended up running away from this 23-year-old. And then the police minister came with a report online and said, police officers, you need to get your act together because the public cannot be out here riding you guys like a krivai. A krivai is a wheelbarrow. He was like, you cannot be out here getting the public riding you, driving you around the gassi like you're on a wheelbarrow. You need to be strong, get muscular. You need to be able to enforce the law. How in the world did you get beaten up by a drunk 23-year-old? Until you scattered. That's a whole story that happened in this country about 1.5 to 2 years ago. They say, after rebuking his police officers for running away from a very strong, Herculean, Archelian 23-year-old. So I mean, the pub or the bar where Hlongwane was at was full of these Herculean 23-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 25-year-olds. Many of them in comparison to one little Hulk that killed his girlfriend in front of everybody. Whether or not a Hulk is wielding a knife, bottom line is, if there are 4 Hulks and 4 Hercules and then 2 Achilles at this party, you could have subdued this dude with minimum damage to the men. But just like it's been happening in the party scene in the black community all this time, girls coming up dead in dustbins at party, in the cleaning sessions in the mornings. Just like it's been happening all this time, it happened again, but this time around in 2025, where people see dead bodies on the side of the street, put them on social media, and that's how your family be out there identifying your body. Never mind the police rocking up to knock on your door to let you know that somebody's late. Come identify the body. Now you identify your son's body right there on the street. It's how it happened even with AKA, how his mom was lamenting at the memorial service that I found out that my son was dead on social media because people kept on basically proliferating that AKA is dead and showing visions of him, pictures of him on social media, and that's how you see that your son is late, and then you cry right there. That's how you find out. No letting you down gently. No letting you know gently. Do you understand? That's 2025. You find out that people were murdered, and that's how Hlongwane's family found out that she was murdered. She was stabbed multiple times. She ran. She screamed. She was alive. I don't know for how long. I don't watch graphic footage. I refuse to even watch the October 7 massacres on Telegram. On Telegram, because there you see everything. I only watched what YouTube will allow, and even that was very, very disturbing. I wished I hadn't watched it because I'm very, very sensitive. Like I said, I can't be consuming sensitive stuff that's gonna make me feel an even grander sense of foreboding in the dystopia that I live in. I need to have some kind of hope. So I try to keep my eyes on better people to look at and better things to look at. So I don't know how long Hlongwane was alive for, but she was murdered with videos going, and she was alive for long enough. And her dad rocked up in the news and was like, I am disappointed in South Africa. Why did you let my daughter get killed? She was alive for long enough to maybe even get taken to the hospital. At the time when she was screaming, at that stage somebody was supposed to intervene. This guy castigated her and in front of everybody told everybody, apparently, I'm relaying a story that was relayed. I didn't watch it. I wouldn't. I can't. I won't. He was relaying. No, he was, so the person who was relaying it they spoke about how it is that he told people flailing a mere knife, sword. A mere knife. I was like, don't come near me, otherwise Puma. And even if it was a gun, where is the chivalry and why is it dead? Parties are unfortunately littered with people that carry weaponry. Parties are littered with people who go there because parties are attended by gangsters. I am pretty sure that that guy was not the only person with a weapon over there. Why didn't they wield it? I'll tell you, they did not want to have to face the consequences of the law if they knocked someone out. I need the loot. I am back. Yeah, parties. They like people travel to not so much nightclubs, because nightclubs people tend to serve like bouncers, search people at doors and whatnot, but street parties or a tavern, which is where Hlongwane was. Taverns, which is where Hlongwane was. There must have been at least 10 guys there that were carrying pieces. At least there had to be. So when men refuse to take out their pieces to protect women, but they take them out to protect themselves, they have absolutely abandoned, neglected their duty in Christ, their namby-pamby. Whether or not your firearm is licensed ought to be irrelevant. Largely those people who travel to parties at that young age with pieces are, what is the word that I'm looking for? Unlicensed, because they got them on the black market. My cousin Lena, he had a gun. My uncle has a gun. I think his is licensed, however. My cousin is a criminal, so he would never ever get a licensed gun. And our government, Maro, he has a gun. There was a time at Naturina when some incident happened, and my cousin rocked up there, Atsuris Junior, and my uncle also, Atsuris Junior. They've got guns. So a guy like my cousin that liked to beat up his girlfriend at any given party, that's got several hundreds of people there, kids there. There's gonna be at least 10 young men who are there, maybe even women, because these days girls be out here acting like boys that are carrying pieces. And if at all they're carrying those guns because they want to protect themselves, because violence could break out right now. My late brother, who passed away at the age of 22, was killed at a party by someone who had a piece at a party. My point exactly, right? He was a gangster, in all fairness, in and of himself. My late brother, only involved in strange things, and so he was pursued by yet more people like this. But gangsters love parties, is what I'm getting at. People that carry weaponry love parties, and also they tend to know how to get away with doing certain things. So if you care for the well-being of women as men, you will go out on a limb and take a risk to knock a person out who, even if he had a gun, I stand corrected. So if this guy, I know he stabbed her to death. I don't think he had a gun, but I think he might have flailed a gun. I don't know. I don't think so though, but he stabbed her to death. Yeah, multiple times. Listen, I don't want to confabulate. I don't want to come up with my own little numbers over here. So let's not even say how many times she was stabbed, but it was multiple times. And Hlongwane was able to... I am exhausted, I'm sick. Hlongwane was able to run from one place to another a handsome distance while this guy was castigating her. One dude came close to him to try, I guess, and maybe intervene. And this guy was like, if anybody comes close to me, I'ma kill you. And so people stood back and merely recorded a guy kill a woman in broad daylight. My thing is, a man from the back, while he is busy focusing on a woman, couldn't 4 other Amazonian beasts pounce on him and risk getting stabbed or hurt by this guy tackling or wrestling him, so as to basically, after the first stab wound went into Hlongwane, not let a second and a third and a fourth. He literally had time to be like, gah, 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 in front of everybody. And before then, this chick was screaming, she was crying, there was a restraining order against him, there was an operation, and he murdered her in cold blood in front of everybody. It was recorded, and then this guy went on TikTok and uploaded a video after murdering Hlongwane and saying, "Hey son, I wish I hadn't killed Hlongwane. It's just that I was upset," and he was apologizing to South Africa. And apparently, allegedly, at the time of apologizing to South Africa, this guy had spots of blood on his shirt, and he had just stabbed the girlfriend that he was with at the time. She got hospitalized and made it, thank God. So here's a man that goes and kills one woman, attempted murders another, that gets away, and then records a video and says, "I wish I hadn't done it." Only confesses to the murder of Hlongwane because he was recorded in broad daylight, but says nothing about the attempted murder of the girlfriend that he was now with, that got away. That's what this man did. And Hlongwane, like I said, was at a public setting, and she got murdered in front of everybody, and stuff like that has been happening in the black community for a minute, and never in my life did I ever think that Namia would get killed in broad daylight by crazy men that keep on administering lethal blows into my bones while I scream, and while I go and I cover literally mileage from one spot to the next, and people just stand back and do nothing, and then essentially wait for my family members to hear that I am late. People who watch my content, listen, I am like Hlongwane, except I'm not like her. I'm different in the sense that I've given my life to Jesus Christ, and I'm not gonna get spilled like milk on the kitchen floor with people saying whoops. After stuff like this happens, there is an uproar in the country. There is rage. And there are people trending stuff on Twitter, hashtag and my next hashtag GBV. There are men lamenting, hashtag men are trash. There are men and women alike lamenting about this, but understand the very same men who claim to essentially have the back of women and would not allow women to get killed just at a whim, not on their watch, are misogynistic in and of themselves. They despise the strength of women. They get upset when women essentially raise their voices to make an issue known, and they have a history in and of themselves of not covering or protecting women in their own families. Remember I told you about my uncle, who his daughter rocked up at home with a blue eye, and because she did not rock up in a body bag, he didn't have too much of a bone to pick with what happened over there. My cousin didn't die like Hlongwane. If my cousin had died, my uncle would have also lamented, complained, said, but why did you do nothing? You stood back, you watched the guy kill my daughter. But when his daughter came with a blue eye, he said, again. So essentially our bruises are nothing in the black community. Our lashes are nothing. Our scourges are nothing. Insofar as Imbokoto that we are, we survive the blows. Nobody will do anything because apparently we had beatings coming. There was literally a mindset dwelling inside black men, a whole chunk of them, that insofar as she's not dead, this little D had it coming. Because apparently, allegedly, was so disrespectful that people understand, or at least they ought understand, where Lempama came from. Where Karabo, where this, like, kick on her chest came from. Why, when a woman survives beatings, people ask, but what did she say? What did she do? However, when she dies, men are like, but why did you kill my child in front of the country? I have an uncle that has done spells from here to Timbuktu to try and marry me off to one of these monsters that are excruciatingly evil. The same uncle of which I went to and I lamented about his daughter and the witchcraft therein, everything that's being done to me, and he had nothing to do with intervening. He wants me to be like his wife. He believes that a woman should just sit down and be taken care of by a man. He feels as if though I'm way in over my head. Like what I'm doing with my God is just too much. I'm doing too much. That's my uncle. So all these beatings that I'm enduring at the hands of these merciless men, she's like, but like, what is it that you're doing, Karabo, that is causing them to beat you like this? So uncle, okay, here's the deal. So I gotta marry one. I gotta marry my castigator. Like he's upset that I won't marry him. Oh, worse, there is one who's upset that I won't sleep with him despite his litany of STDs and him being a married man. And then there are others yet who think that I need to give them fellatio because I don't believe in sex before marriage. Then there are others who feel as if though, who do I think I am to escape like economic sabotage without sleeping with all of South Africa's CEOs? Yeah. But I mean, Karabo, come on. You know that men are supposed to provide. So you, in a Hegelian dialectic, put women in a position to suffocate. And then you say, but like, why didn't you take the offer? Okay, this mindset is coursing through the veins of the black community, but like I said, there are no men, there are no women, there is literally not even a single individual, a child, a spawn of sorts in the streets that would ever get away with this crazy if it wasn't for the enablement of Eve. The whole planet fell into a most ghastly dystopia called we can now be condemned to an eternal lake of fire where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth for all of eternity, where the worm does not die and the smoke of our torment rises up forever. Like proper that became our reality one day. We became all that ghoulish because of a woman. This is a man's world. We get it. And because it's a man's world, we as women are expected to essentially take whatever in our stride. And if we don't, if we insist on holding on to the precepts of the second Adam, who says there is neither male nor female, Jew nor Gentile, all are one in Christ, and indeed insist upon the protection, the covering, and the loving of women. If you don't give your life over to Jesus Christ, you're going to be dealing with men who are under the judgment to lord it over women with an iron fist, who expect women to, in spite of their character flaws, their yawning, gaping character flaws, nonetheless desire their husbands. When you want to escape that grain, you can only do so successfully by giving your life to the second Adam, especially if you're a black woman. Otherwise, you will be caught up with, in the worst way, by a world full of tyrannical men who feel like women just need to take a whole chunk of nonsense in their stride. The scriptures are littered with this, indeed, truth, that this is a man's world, where it is that even in the Bible, women were just taken by kings until God intervened. Abimelech with Pharaoh, Abimelech sending away Rebecca and Isaac, because Isaac would not admit that that Rebecca was his wife, because he knew that kings in barbarism, upon realizing that a woman is gorgeous, can just say, I want her and take her, and then kill the husband. You see that phenomenon? Where Abraham feared that he would get killed because his wife was so fly that they would kill him to get her. And the same phenomenon where Isaac refused to admit before Abimelech that this here Rebecca is my wife because she was so fly that king could make a determination, never mind that king, but the men in that village could make a determination that I want her, and then realize that there is something standing in the way and then kill the husband. I have had that happen to me pretty much ever since I came to Jesus Christ, and especially when I was entered into persecution. I'm a beautiful woman and now I'm 41, so I don't know why you be chasing after what you call a woman with a geriatric womb, no longer all that fertile, and she's past due. Did not that crazy Nigerian guy think 27 was too old? Despite being 41, chunky, gargantuan, mammoth years old, I am still pursued by crazy guys that to this day, especially the past decade, have time and time again done satanic rituals to make sure I never meet my husband, and in some worst case scenarios, literally killed a man that I haven't even met. Killed a man I haven't even met. Did a satanic death ritual on an effigy, some doll, of someone that represents the prospect of my future husband, so the guy never comes, due to the sense of entitlement that men feel over me. And if they can do this, and I keep on lamenting in this very, very similar capacity, if they can do this to a middle-aged woman, what then for your 22-year-olds? What? What then for your gorgeous 18-year-old? I have had a dream yet again. I told you, the mixed kids, black men go so crazy when I tell them about my mixed babies. But listen, this was not even my prerogative, neither my plan, it was God's. Every time I see something representing my children, they're always mixed. And the mix is in particular black-white. Black-white. They're colored. And I told you guys a dream about these two colored girls that I saw in my dream. I told you guys that the Lord showed me that my first pregnancy would be twins and it would be a boy and a girl. He did not show me what else would be the remaining pregnancies going forward. But in my dream, there were these two colored girls that I did not know. I did not know where they came from. All I knew is that they were just around in a battlefield. It was a hard knock battlefield. There were guns blazing, bombs going off all over the show. It was very hectic. It was extremely hectic. And so I was in flight. I was running, and I was running with many other people. It was just a dystopia. And then on the floor, lying, dead as a doornail, was this colored girl, this beautiful colored girl that was killed. And her sister was standing, was sitting beside the corpse over the body of her sister. And I remember when I walked past them feeling sorry for the situation, but like I said, guns blazing. The atmosphere was such that you couldn't sit around and be a spectator over a murder that happened in the street. Guns were just blazing all over the show. So I walk past these girls in and of myself, I'm running, and this scene happens in my high school, Sir John Adamson, evidencing regression, witchcraft, and essentially what in the world is going to look like if God does not intervene. I run past these girls. I feel sorry for what's going on over there. The one girl is mourning. In spite of the calamity encircling, she is over her sister's body, doing something. I then run past them. Where I'm running, there's nowhere to go. Like, there's nowhere to go. Where I am running, there's absolutely nowhere to go. So I turn back again. I do a U-turn. I do a cul-de-sac. Where I'm going, there's nowhere to go. I do a U-turn. I do a cul-de-sac. And so I find myself around the scene again, where these two colored girls were at, and this time around, the dead girl that was dead on the side of the street was sitting upright in a 90-degree angle, and her sister, I came to learn that what she was doing as she was postured over her head was praying. The scripture, not the scripture, the word, the Holy Spirit in the dream gave me an understanding that this young girl, she looked like about 17 years old, that was murdered on the side of the street. What the sister was doing as she was postured over her in this battlefield was praying. And that she succeeded in so praying over her body, her dead body, to raise her from the dead. And when then I came back upon doing my U-turn, she was sitting in a 90-degree angle, essentially recuperating. And then I got more understanding by the Spirit of the Lord that, that she was murdered by a boyfriend. She was killed by a boyfriend, right? The dream in it, all that calamity and all those guns blazing and all that dystopia. The Spirit then let me know that it is the climate of murder, gender-based violence in your country. It's like a battlefield that everyone is running from, and I was running. Those two colored girls were on the floor while the one was praying over the sister. However, the people that were busy running up and down were men and women alike. But these men and women were reduced to pretty much the age of girls and boys. Because after all, this happened in a high school. I, in and of myself, was kind of young in that dream. My older sister was in that dream, sitting in a bed, in this calamity, in this battlefield, appearing to be unfazed by what's going on. And as I was running past this, couple of girls, where it is that the one is dead and the other one is praying over her, you could see basically into the house where my sister was sitting on a bed. And my sister was inviting me, just come and chill, just come and relax. Just come home. Just come and chill. Just come and relax. I look at my sister and I'm like, listen, there is a battlefield. There's guns blazing. Everything is bombing. I'm not going to stand still. I need to run somewhere. I ran somewhere, but like I said, there was no way safe. So I did a U-turn. And when I came back, the girl that was dead on the floor was now sitting in the right angle. And the sister was relieved that her sister was back. And it was upon gazing at these two girls and the fact that the one girl succeeded to pray her sister back to life, that given how dangerous this environment was that I was in, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm following these colored girls, because where they go there are miracles. Where they go there is preservation of life, and where they go there is restoration of life after death. After witnessing the miracle, after seeing this dead girl come back from the dead. After seeing this dead girl come back from the dead, seeing as there was nowhere safe in my dream, I looked at my sister and I was like, if I have to choose where to go, I'm not going wherever you're going because you're literally sitting in the middle of a battlefield but on a bed. I refused to go with my biological sister and I followed these two colored girls. And we ended up sitting on some couch and the battlefield was still going on, but we were now in a house and it appears we were somewhat ensconced, and I had great curiosity about who these two girls were. Sorry. I had great curiosity as to who these two girls were. But then the one girl, the 17-year-old, at the time, my hair, I was unraveling my hair after a protective style, and I had put it in like a very bushy bun. Okay, this colored girl that was on the floor dead, her hair in my dream morphed into that hairstyle, like all of a sudden, but it was much bigger, much bushier, right? And I looked at her hair, and in my dream I remember saying, oh my goodness, her hair looks just like mine. Her hair just looks just like mine. And when I looked, I get that she was standing in the right angle in the street over there. This time when I was looking at her back, because she was not dressed, her body was naked at the back, so I could see her bare back. It was so iridescent, it was resplendent, it was like shiny. It was, her back was just it was beautiful, right? And of course, these girls in and of themselves, they were really beautiful. Something of them was emanating the light of God. And then I sit on the couch with them, and this chick is now wearing clothes, right? But then her hair morphs into the hairstyle that I, in that season of having that dream, had on my head. And then the other girl, her sister, she had cornrows, right? That went to the back. And she was now sitting, they were both sitting mosofeng. And I kept on looking at these girls. I kept on looking at them. And as I kept on looking at them, wondering who they are, because literally I'm suturing myself to them because they're where it's safe and they've got miracles following them. And there's something that they're doing that works. They pray. And so I'm sticking with them because that's the only way that I am safe. As I'm busy hanging with these two chicks, not sure what's going on with them. Like I said, the one that was killed was 17 years old and she was killed by her boyfriend. And then the other one was about 21 years old. So she was the older sister, right? As I'm busy sitting here, calming down, the girl, her hair becoming like mine, the Spirit of God then pretty much alerts me to who these people are in my dream. The Spirit of the Lord then alerts me as to who these people are in my dream, and I came to learn that they're my daughters. Listen, in my dream, I did not look that much older than them, but the Lord was letting me know in the dream that these are my daughters, and I was like, whoa. And then the dream ends. When I woke up, I was like, why were they so old? Why was one 17 and the other, 21? Why did you show me that age? And secondly, where was my son? Because you showed me that I'm gonna have, twins in my first pregnancy, and it's gonna be a boy and a girl. So evidently the older girl was the sister of the boy. The Lord was showing me that the violence and the murder, the lunacy that is going to come in this country that you're living in, that is South Africa, is against largely women, girls. Do you understand? So your boy was not in the dream precisely because his reality would not have been the same as that of his sisters. He would not have been in a battlefield. He would not have been encircled by guns blazing. He would not have had his life be in danger all the day long as he walks and talks. It would only be your girl children that would be endured through this. At the time, I believed the rapture was about to happen. So I was like, if I saw my children, then what about, rapture, you've been showing me that the world is ending. I believed that the Lord was showing me through that dream that if you were to have daughters, inevitably you would be a bereaved mother because one of your daughters would get killed by a boyfriend at just the age of 17. So I thought that that's why we gotta go home in the rapture. And then y'all know that I changed my stance as to what's going on here after the death of Charlie Kirk. Thanks to the revival that it sparked, I was like, I'm getting married. Now when I recall back that dream, when I think about it now, I realize what in the world was being shown in that dream. The Lord was showing me, if you stay in this country, your daughters are not safe. Your children are not safe. The pregnancies you bring forth are one day going to make you a bereaved mother. It would be better for you if you'd never had children at all. Because this thing is going to continue to grow and have a fever and have a violence about itself until just when you think you're right as rain and set, you're going to get your children taken from you. But those kids in my dream were colored. It was two colored girls, and my son was not in the dream. I then pretty much let go of the prospect of getting married or even having children, because I figured that, of course, I don't want to have children only for me to be a bereaved mother when my daughter is only 17. Just get my child taken away from me by some stupid boy that's gonna kill my beautiful daughter. The older girl prayed over her sister, showing the older girl prayed over her sister, evidencing, what do you call this? That I would indeed succeed to raise my children up in the admonition of the Lord. I would indeed prosper to raise my kids up in the admonition of the Lord. But in spite of that, you know how even when you teach children in the way that they should go, if they grow up in a very pagan society, they will deconstruct, they will walk away. Upon them being persecuted in your streets, upon them being persecuted for their faith, for the sake of fitting in, they will do worldly stuff anyway. And in my dream, my 21-year-old appeared to be okay with God and latched on to the Lord. But the 17-year-old decided to recreationally date, and she lost her life. When you raise children up in a certain atmosphere and they're not encircled by a constant reminder or reiteration of who they ought to be, they deconstruct. South Africa is littered with deconstruction because look at my life. I tried and I'm still trying to live a Christian life above reproach and all that jazz. And yet there are people working tooth and nail to divorce me from God. I can barely find any fellowship in these streets. It's like Amos 8 and 11. The day is coming when the Lord is going to send out a famine on the land, not a famine for food, not of a thirst of water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. It's a famine. And so therefore, fellowship is not really fellowship, and women are still in danger. And when they give their lives to Christ, they're still pursued by ritualists who insist that they become concubines, mistresses. A devout woman, consecrated to the Lord, dignified in Christ, chaste, celibate. They're gunning for my celibacy and they're trying to put a baby in my stomach anyway out of wedlock. And some of them are so brazen and bold-faced that they want me as a lifetime concubine, otherwise known as a mistress. These kinds of plots and schemes against dignified daughters that ought be wives, but are sought after for the nibbling, for the chewing into, snacking on by licentious men with a myriad of diseases because they are holding scepters of magic. And everybody is scared of them, such that in my dream there was a dystopia with guns blazing everywhere and both men and women were running and girls and boys were running, evidencing men and women. And what the Lord was showing me is that honest men and honest women will always be in flight from occult practitioners in South Africa, while the righteous will have to survive on prayer to stay alive. But it's going to be unsustainable because they're going to be living in a battlefield. The country belongs to these zombies. We're just living in it. It's overrun by occult practitioners, and everybody else that's not an occult practitioner is too scared to intervene. All they can do is run. And that's why no one is coming for me. But you see, South Africa is a black country, and these issues are largely inspired into our economy and our lives. These calamities are inspired into our economy, our politics, and our lives by black people, largely. And I'm going to keep on explaining to you what in the world is going on in Lana, South Africa. To a point, like I know I can meander and I can run around in circles, but I ultimately get to a point and I'm going to seal it in. So the colored babies that I saw in my dream, the Lord was showing me, and he has been showing me all this time. I have been seeing colored children, if at all I dream about my children. One time I saw them in heaven, and when I was in heaven this time around, I saw an older boy and a younger girl, confirming to me that I will at least have 3 children, at least. And the oldest will be twins, a boy and a girl, while one of the younger ones will be a girl. Last night I dreamt again about a little colored baby in a blue baby grower, evidencing that it was a boy, and he was just thrown on the floor, crawling around in a mall, abandoned. And beside him on a mat was some satanic man that I've been running away from for about a year now. Some idiot that I understood is the one that's busy pursuing me, Kankan. No, not the guy from America. I've been running away from him for 3 years. Some little idiot that's been paying some woman at YouTube a whole chunky bribe, like crazy thing. And I ran away from my family members in this dream who were busy getting into accidents and getting raised again from the dead, because listen, I'm the only person standing in the gap for those randos, and they keep on getting come up against by occult practitioners, killing them, and then they live again in my dream because of me. And I was sick and tired. I was in a room, and they'd all been in a car accident, and all of them, a couple of them had passed away in this car accident. And by the time I left this room, those that had passed away in the car accident were now alive again, with God showing me they are wearing you out with intercession. They're wearing you out with intercession. The occult keeps coming at your family members to cause bereavement, and you keep on standing in the gap. So aunts that are supposed to die don't die, dads that are supposed to die don't die, cousins that are supposed to die don't die. And so in this dream I was just tired. One of the people that had died and then came back to live again was my aunt. And in my dream I was like literally in my dream I said, I am sick and tired. My aunt is finally in Hades. She's in Hades. I warned her. And then she rocked up out of like a bat out of hell while her husband was mourning her death. And she just walked into the room and everybody stopped crying. No, they did not embrace her and say, yeah, you're back alive again. She just merely walked in almost like she wasn't dead. And they were not mourning, evidencing that something dire would have happened if there was no intervention. But then intervention happened. And because of intervention happening, intercessory prayer, they don't even know what would have happened if it wasn't for you.